beautiful, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to this video where we are going to talk about if I could only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes, which ones would I pick? This is a tag that was started by Annette's Makeup Corner in 2019, and I did this tag in November 2019, and I've had it in the back of my mind, I've had it in my calendar that I really wanted to film it again, like a take two. And then I saw that Annette actually did that. She did the updated tag on her channel, and that gave me the kick in the butt to be like, bitch, you've said to yourself for quite some time that you wanted to film a part 2, so this is going to be part 2. And the fun thing about part 2 is that none of the original palettes are still here. None. Zero. So, nothing. I've replaced all of the 10 palettes that I mentioned in part 1 with 10 brand new palettes, so if you're interested in seeing what 10 palettes I would pick if I could only keep 10 palettes out of my entire collection, and spoiler alert, I own more than 200 palettes, stay tuned. And if you haven't been here before, hello, my name is Angie. I'm still in love with beauty and makeup, so if you want to see some more beauty and makeup related content on your timeline, or if you want to see some more colorful things on your timeline, because I am a lover of colorful things, don't forget to subscribe because I upload 5 videos a week. So the reason that I wanted to refilm this was because I had a sneaking suspicion that if I did this again, I wouldn't pick any of the palettes from the first run. And yeah, that is true. I didn't pick any of the palettes from the first one. I will leave my video up here where I did this in November in 2019, where I picked 10 palettes out of my collection at that point that I would keep if I could only keep 10 palettes. I will also leave Annette's video down below if you want to peek what she did, because we have similar thoughts when it comes to this tag, but we didn't pick similar palettes this time around. This is how I embark on this challenge. I don't necessarily pick my 10 favorite palettes, even though some of these palettes are indeed my top, in my top 10 of my favorite palettes, but I pick instead palettes if all of my palettes disappeared, and all of my singles, of course, this is singles as well. If all of my eyeshadow disappeared and I can only keep 10 palettes, what 10 palettes would enable me to make all of the kinds of looks that I like to wear, that I like to experiment with? What palettes would have all the shades that I would need to do the kind of looks that I like? And if you have not been here before, if this is your first video that you're clicking on, I love colorful eyeshadows, but I also do dabble into neutrals sometimes, but most of the time I do pretty dramatic eyeshadow. So I like to have more than one deep color to choose from, and my favorite eyeshadows are deep mattes. That is my favorites, and I'm also just something colorful. But I still love my neutrals though. But yeah, let's just get into this. If you have a YouTube channel or if you want to answer down in the comments, I would love to see your answers. Please tag me if you do, because I cannot wait to see what other people pick. And if you did this tag before, please do it again, because maybe you're like me and you realize that none of the ones that you picked in round 1 made the cut for round 2. First one, I'm gonna get this out of the way quickly. I'm gonna explain, with all of these palettes, I'm gonna explain why did I pick this one. This was the easiest one though, because I mean this is the collaboration between me and Kaleidos. This is the Club Nebula palette. This palette is not available anymore. I'm so sorry. It was a limited edition. We had a run in the beginning of 2021. It was released in January, and then we restocked the palette twice, and I'm sorry, it was limited edition. It's not coming back. But obviously I would pick this palette because I made it. I picked shades that I want, shades that I love in this palette. I think all of these shades are so beautiful, obviously, because here's the thing, sometimes when it comes to makeup, yeah, quality is one thing, and I think the quality of Kaleidos is amazing, but it's also about preference. What do you love? If you hate blue eyeshadow and you've tried blue eyeshadow and blue eyeshadow isn't for you, maybe you wouldn't pick an all blue eyeshadow palette when you're doing this, because it's not your preference. It doesn't matter if it's the best quality ever, because are you gonna wear it? I will say though, if you've never tried blue, or if you're hesitant and you think that blue isn't for you, this is your daily reminder to play with makeup. And that's what I did when I created this. It has greens, it has blues, it has reds. It doesn't have any warm shades though. All of these shades have a bit more of a cooler undertone. Even the shades down here, even though that's a red and a peach and a coral, they're not yellow leaning in that way. They're not really warm shades. So whatever you do with this palette, it's gonna be pretty cool tone leaning. And you're gonna see that in the other palettes that I'm gonna bring up, that even though I love this and even though this has pretty much all I want, there are still things that I might want at times. I mean, no one can create anything that just encompasses everything you ever would want, especially if you're like me and you never recreate a look. Like, I never wear the same look twice. Okay, that's not true. Sometimes I do wear the same look more than once, but most of the time I like playing with makeup, so I just think this is so beautiful. Of course, I love it. I'm not going to talk more about this. The second palette, let's just take this one as well, because I love Kaleidos makeup, and this is the Flower Punk palette, and this one is still available. I think this is their spring palette. See, this one is so complimentary for me to the Club Nebula, because this has some of the warmer tones that I would want at times, even though it's missing yellows. It's missing yellows, but it has more warm tones, and it also has more pastel tones and the mints that I don't have in the Club Nebula palette. So this one has more pastel tones, and it has those more grungy greens and like warmer greens that I really love. So therefore I thought that this would be the perfect palette to pick for this challenge, because this one would bring me those warm greens that I really love, and also in a formula that I really enjoy. Speaking of blue eyeshadow, this wasn't in my last one that I did of this, but I'm gonna be honest, I've played with this a little bit more since. I love this one. This is the Blue Moon by Colourpop. I love this palette. I think it's beautiful. It goes from really light, this is a iridescent blue with like a transparent base, and then you have pastel blue, to really dark, you have a dark blue metallic, and you have a dark blue matte, and then you have mid shades, and this one is just a beautiful, it's called Tide Pool. It's just a beautiful sky blue metallic. I just think that this palette is so beautiful. It's so versatile, even though it is a monochromatic palette. And when I want blue, I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I just want to do blue eyeshadow. I do reach for this one because it's all blue. And I would miss this palette if it wasn't in my collection. And this one also has those bright blue. Not grayish blue, not teal blue, not mint blue, blue. And that's what I love about this palette, is blue. Because I feel like a lot of times when it's like, oh, it's a neutral palette with a pop of blue, all I see is that it's a neutral palette with a turquoise, with a mint, with a teal. Rarely is it blue. So I love this one, and it has to be here. And like I said with the Flower Punk palette, I said there's no yellows. I feel the same way about yellows. Sometimes I just want to have yellow. I just want to have yellow, and I love yellow makeup so much, and I feel like there's not enough yellow. Like, there was a short period of time in the makeup community when the pop of yellow was having its moment, but it was just such a short moment. Like, I want more yellow, and this one is beautiful. This is the Citronada. I think that is correct. It's from Glam Shop. I could do a full look with this one if I wanted to, or this is the perfect palette to mix with other palettes. I love yellow with green. I love yellow, blue, and green together. Oh, this one. And then, like, these three together. Oh, so beautiful. And I also love yellow together with pinks, or yellow together with like berries or purples. So beautiful. So I feel like this would be such a perfect pop palette that I would use either on its own, because I love just putting yellow on my lid and just out the door. It's one of those colors that if I ever do like just a one shadow on the lid, it's actually usually either a pastel or a yellow. So I thought that this would be the perfect one, because when I brought out all of these palettes, I was like, yes, this is perfect, but where's the yellow? Where's the yellow? Because that is exactly how I felt when I pulled out this palette, because I was like, I didn't have this palette when I did this challenge before. My husband came in when I was doing this, and he's like, isn't this cheating? In a way it is, but this is gonna be my rainbow palette of choice, even though this is a poor attempt at a rainbow palette, because there is no yellow. No yellow in this palette, but you have red, you have orange, you have some neutrals, you have some greens here. I love these greens here. Also, there's only 2 blues, and there's no yellows, so that's where these come in. But I do love a purple and a pink and a berry look, and there are like a third of this palette is pink, purple, and berry, and then I could just mix these in. This is like the missing part of the rainbow, because I think that a rainbow palette is perfect to have in your collection, but this one also has so many other things, and I will say I prefer an all matte look. lately, even though I'm not wearing an all matte look now, but I've been so into all matte look lately, and this one has a lot of mattes, and I thought that that would be perfect for me. Because the other palettes, I actually picked another rainbow palette. Should I take that one out? I've been really into, I was gonna say I've been really into color lately. What a joke, what a joke. I'm just gonna cover this up a little bit because it is a little bit explicit on the front, but this is the Alien Cosmetics and the Capricorn palette. This isn't necessarily my favorite palette from Alien Cosmetics, but this really fits a slot in this challenge because this is a rainbow palette, but the shades in this one is not a typical like the rainbow color, except maybe this one that is a bright yellow, even more yellow. I'm happy, but there are more muted shades. This is like an orangey red. This one has a little bit of a gray undertone. You have this like darker green, and then this like, it's not a lime green, but it's so pretty. And then you have these more muted ones, and this dark like, it's called blurple when it's like a blue purple, but it's like so dark it's almost black. This just has different tones and undertones than the other rainbow palette, and I feel like since this is an all matte palette, it would just complement the other palettes so beautiful, because I have so many shimmers that I love. For example, in all of these 4 palettes, I have shimmers that I really love, the Kaleidos ones and the 2 Poppy palettes. I'd rather have more mattes to choose from than more shimmers to choose from. But I know that's not for everyone. I know not everyone shares that sentiment. But that's just how I've been doing lately. And I also will talk about that when we... Oh, I'll take that with the next palette. Oh, my battery's dying. I replaced the palette from the old one with the new one. And I'm gonna talk about why. In my old video, when I did this the first time, I had the Shroud Cosmetics Creepy Cute palette, which was my like pastel palette of choice. I have replaced it with the Lost in Los Angeles by BH Cosmetics. Not only do I think that these are equal quality, they look just as good on the eyes, they are buildable, they are beautiful, they are pigmented. This one has more options, and this one also has shimmers that are absolutely stunning, like pastel shimmers, and again, even more shimmers to mix with those mattes that I have. Plus this has a great matte white. I love a matte white. A matte white inner corner, or just a matte inner corner, has really been something that I've been into lately. So I felt like this is a really good palette for me to add, because I know that I would be reaching for this matte white alone. Not only would I reach for the pastels, because I love using a pastel shade as a transition shade when I'm doing a colorful look, but matte white inner corner, that's really been my thing lately, so I felt like that palette would be perfect for me. I have another one. Who thinks I'm including the Blueberry Muffin palette? Well, you're wrong, because I picked the Passion in Paris. This is the latest, well no, they have come out with one since, and I don't know when this is coming up either, because I'm pre-filming a bit, so maybe I shouldn't say stuff like that. This is the Passion in Paris. It's fairly new. It's fairly new. This is a beautiful blue, purple, like red, but like cool tone red, but this is just so beautiful, and this also would complement so many of the other palettes that I've shown you here. This has no dupes to this one. Let me show you. This has no dupes to the Club Nebula. Like, there are no dupes in between these, but they would go so well together, because you see the like the bluish tones in this one. I would say that there are like maybe, well, 2 matte blues, like more on the turquoise, and this is more of the purple blue. And then you have 2 blue shimmers, one that is a topper purple blue, and then the dark one that is like a teal blue purple multi-chrome moment. And it's not the same shadows, but they would complement each other so good. And it's the same with the red one here. The red one in the Club Nebula is actually, even though I said that this was a cool tone red, these are even more cool tone, because they are definitely leaning more on the berry side and not at all on the orange or yellow leaning side. I just feel like these would be so complementary to each other, and you would be able to do so many fun looks. And I honestly think the quality of this one is so beautiful. I was so close. I didn't pick any melt palettes. Because I was so close to picking the Waiting Room by Melt. And I held both of these up, and I was like, wait, why? I like the quality of this one more. I'm gonna be honest, because this one is easier to blend. This one has the same reds as the waiting room. This one has the matte black as the waiting room. This one has the gray metallic as the only thing I would miss was the gray mattes, and I'm gonna be 1,000,000% honest with you. I don't reach for grays that often that I need a palette just for the reds when I have this one. So I opted out of the waiting room, and I actually went, instead of I had the Metropolis palette in my first one for some neutrals mixed with some blues. Instead I went with this one because this one has the grays. Do I want the gray? I have a gray here, and I have this beautiful like metallic charcoal. You have a silver, you have a gold. These are the shades that I don't reach for that often, but if I want a neutral look, this is the kind of neutrals that I would want, because you have neutral leaning neutrals or more cool tone leaning neutrals, and they're all pretty deep and grungy. And then you have 2 blues here. I don't know if I would reach for these blues over any of the other blues that I've shown you, but it's a nice complement to the other things. And I feel like with this one, together with some of the other neutrals that are sprinkled into the other palettes, I would be fine. This one and the matte white from this palette, they lost in Los Angeles, I'd be fine. I'm gonna be honest, I'd be fine. And this one would also match so well together with some of the other shades that I've been showing you if I wanted to grunge up a look but keep it a bit more on the neutral side instead of making it super colorful, which is not often what I like to do, but sometimes I do. And when I do, this one is perfect for that. By the way, I did film this look and it should already be up on my channel. I will leave a link to the look down below together with links to all the things that are on my face in case you are interested. I do film almost everything that you see on my channel. It's almost always filmed either for Instagram or for YouTube, so always check the description box for more info. I will also link all of the palettes that are still available down below in case you are interested in shopping through my links. But I think that this palette is wonderful quality. I love Lunar Beauty. I think it's a great brand, and I think that if I had this palette, it would really fit like a role in this whole thing. So the last palette that I wanted to bring in is a palette that I'm gonna be honest, the main reason why this palette is here is because of the bottom row here and this green here and this multi-chrome here. I used to be so much 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I did like iridescent, like duochrome in the corners all the time. I still do it, but not as often as I used to. I'm more into matte in the corners right now, and that's mainly why I opted for picking that palette that had the matte white, because I knew that I would optimize that so much if I had these options. Because I even have a matte inner corner today. I just think it looks so flattering. I just think it looks flattering. This is the Norns palette by Oden. I love Oden and I love the quality of Oden. This palette is beautiful and the packaging is stunning. You have 16 different shades in here, and same here. You have a couple of neutrals. This is a black that's pretty pigmented and pretty easy to blend. And you have this dark chocolate and metallic if you want to, and a couple of, this is such an interesting shimmer because it's like a taupe with a gold sheen, so it's like cool tone and warm tone. And this one is a mix of gold and silver, like a topper shade. It's so like reflective and beautiful on the eyes. So this one has some neutral options as well if I wanted to go neutral but still wanted to spice it up a bit. And then this like purple corner here, this dark teal is beautiful, and then these metallics are just everything. And this multi-chrome, it is just, I don't know, can you see? You can see the pink, right? But I don't think you can see the green, because this is a green gold. Can you see? I don't know if you can see, but this is a green gold pink multi-chrome in a palette. Stunning quality, and I feel like there are so many interesting shades in this one, and I have been reaching for this palette to complement, like, oh, I want to have that shimmer, oh, I want to have that matte, oh, I want to have that topper shade, because I feel like this palette has so many interesting and different and exciting things, and I love that. I love when palettes have more than 2 formulas in a palette. I do love that, and these aren't necessarily like my 10 favorite palettes in my collection. That's not what this is, even though, like I said, some of them are. It's more like, what palettes would I pick if I could only pick 10 palettes and these were the only palettes I can make looks out of. Some things would be missed. Some things would be missed, like a matte white inner corner, a matte black, pastel shades, like these things would be missed if I didn't have them. Let me know, do you agree with my picks? And if you're interested, like I said, in seeing the picks I had last time, there was 10 totally different picks. It's gonna be up here in the corner. Let me know your thoughts down below. I can't wait to read your comments on this one because I would love to hear what you think about this. And also let me know if you would like me to redo this, maybe in a year again. Because new palettes come all the time, your preference in makeup changes, and even though the whole idea of this is still the same, that I need a full rainbow, I need some neutrals, I need some pops, I need some deep, even though I still went about this the same way as I did last time, I still ended up with different palettes. And I still own all 10 of the palettes that I picked last time. So go figure. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again tomorrow for a new video. Bye!